Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Virtus here, and welcome to my game dev live stream. Today we're going to be going through a couple of things. First and foremost, while we're going through this stream, we are going to be giving you guys an opportunity to ask any game dev questions that you have live on air. I'm going to be answering it all right now. Also, another thing that I'd like to mention, this live stream is going to be recorded. If it's a little bit late for yourselves, you can always watch this back tomorrow or the next day. It's entirely up to you. But the main purpose of this live stream is we are going to be showing you inside of Unreal Engine 4 how you can create smooth movement inside of Unreal Engine. So just before we do go ahead and start, I just want to get a quick little check. Can I get everyone to let me know how is the sound, the audio, is it all working? If it is, we're going to be cracking on with this live stream. So I can see a couple of people are saying that already. I'd also like to say a massive welcome to everyone that is getting involved. We've currently got 60 people watching live, which is really awesome. So having said that, guys, if you can help me out and drop a massive like on this video, I would really appreciate it. I'm going to be doing loads more content just like this, so make sure you like it, make sure you share to other aspiring game developers so we can all help from this community. So just to go through a couple of names of the people that are here, we've got Abdullah, Antonia, Red Falcon, Ahmet, we've got loads of people. I'm going to be giving everyone shout outs as we go through this, so if you do want to be seen and you do want to be heard, just let me know down in that comment section down below. Moving on, we know what this stream is. I've got a couple of things that I need to talk about before we do go any further. So let's move on. So first and foremost, Patreons are the people that make streams like this possible. Without my Patreons, I would not be able to do these live streams. I would not be able to make the community that I have done. If you want to check out our Patreon, the link for that is in the description down below. I've also released a whole bunch of new rewards on Patreon, and you can get yourself new rewards such as one-to-one access and tuition from myself, even reviews of your games. Like I said, go ahead and check all of that down in the link below, as it helps out the community, but it also helps me do what I do to help out the community, and you can also get some awesome stuff for yourselves as well. So moving on, another thing that we've got to talk about is the Game Jam. We have got a brand new Game Jam going live at the end of next month, and Game Jams are a really awesome opportunity for you guys to learn game development. What you'll be doing is over the course of 3 weeks, you're going to be creating a game, and this is going to be set around a set theme. You're not going to have any pre-made assets or anything like that, so you're going to be pushed as hard as you possibly can to make a game around that theme. And you're going to learn a whole bunch along the way. It's a really, really good opportunity, so I really want you guys to get involved in that. I've included the link for this game jam, again, in the description down below. So go ahead and click on that link, press join over on itch.io, and just let me know that you are going to be contributing. This game jam isn't something that is just for people that have already got into game development. Absolutely anyone can join. So even if you're just starting out, you can create something really simple. You're limited by nothing other than your imagination, really. If you want to learn a few things about Unreal Engine, I've got tons of tutorials out there to really help you along the way with processing that. Massive shout out to all of my moderators as well that are currently on this live stream, such as Evan. I can see you're out there and you are going in there and sort of saying, you know, me, you want to be shouted out. Thank you for checking out this live stream. So having said that, we've also got one more tool for this community that you guys should really be checking out. That is our Discord. Our Discord is essentially a big chat server, and we've got almost 5,000 other Unreal Engine 4 developers in there. Go ahead and check it out, the link for which is in the description. If you need someone to help you do your work, or you've got a little bug that you need fixing, the Discord is the place for that. Myself, I cannot help everyone on a one-to-one level, so that's where you guys can band together, help out, meet new friends, meet new team members, and all of that good stuff. Again, the link for that is down in the description below. So that is pretty much everything that I've got to talk about before we dive into the content. I'd also like to say a massive welcome to all of the new people that have joined the stream. Again, if I can get you guys to drop a like on this video, share it with your friends, it goes a long way and it lets me do more content like this. The more I get found, the more I can share with you guys. So that is it. So let's go ahead and dive into UnrealEngine, and we're going to be showing you exactly what it is that we're going to be creating over the course of this video. So let's dive in. So if you take a look at my screen here, what you should be able to see is myself in the top right hand corner here, but you should be able to see UnrealEngine. Now what you're going to be seeing in the chat here, or in the video rather, is Embervein currently in the editor. So what I'm going to do is run into the level, and I'm going to show you what it looks like when our characters are moving around, so you can see exactly what it is that we're going to be creating today. So let's go in and do it. So I'm just going to press play for now, jump in, and as you can see, we have got movement in here. But most importantly, what we need to remember with this is when we're in here, we need this to be really smooth. So not only have I got myself an animation that you can run in there, forwards, backwards, left, right, and all of that good stuff, it needs to be smooth. It needs to be directional. So what I'm going to do is start from the very basics. I'm going to be going in and importing all of my animations that have already been made for Embervein. I'm going to be showing you how to import them. I'm going to be showing you how to set up the blend space for them to blend them together based on the direction. And then I'm also going to show you how to set up the animation blueprint so that you can actually get this to go into the game and use it to control your character. So what we're going to be doing is, for now, I'm actually going to be going in and creating a brand new project. And with that, I'm going to be importing the character, so you can see absolutely everything is going to be coming in from scratch. For the purpose of this, I'm just going to be using the third person template. I'm just going to be using blueprints, as that is absolutely everything that we need. And I'm just going to give this a name, Dev Livestream, just like that. And go ahead and hit there. Also, thank you to my moderators that have just sent in the link to everything that they need. Again, like I said, guys, join that Discord, meet new people, get your help that you need. I understand that everyone's new, everyone's got questions, but Discord is the very best place for that. So we have got our brand new project in here. So what we can do now is we can start the process of importing those animations. So for me, I'm just going to be heading over quickly and just downloading all of those, but you're going to see the process is really straightforward for taking those in. So what I'm going to do is all of my stuff, I like to keep it on Google Drive. I know I'm not showing it on my screen at the moment because I've got a lot of stuff in there, and honestly, it's got no relevance to you guys because it's the animations that are important. So what I'm going to do is just head over to my animations folder that I've been sent. And then I'm just going to download those. And in just a second, you are going to start seeing these coming into the engine. So those are just downloading there now. Also, welcome to all of the new people. I can see we have got Prescott in here, Slawomir in here. We have got loads of new people. We have got just short of 100 people in this live stream now, which is really, really awesome. Again, if I can push you guys to hit that like button, it really helps our live streams get seen. So what you're going to see here now is a big old folder full of animations. This is what I'm going to be using to create our Locomotion setup for Grim. So having said that, I'm just going to select all of these. You're going to notice these are a certain type of file. This is a FBX file. So FBX files is essentially your animation data, and it can also be your mesh data as well. But what makes up an FBX file is it's a 3D file format. So what I'm going to do is get this in here. I am going to give it a second to download, and then we can bring it straight into the engine. Also, thank you to everyone that has just subscribed. I can see that we are getting those in there, so that's really, really awesome. So, if anyone has got any game dev questions, like I said, you can also ask me in the middle of the stream as well. So by all means, just let me know, just drop a little message in there and I'll ask and answer any game dev question that you have got there. So just let me know. Anything game development, it doesn't have to be specifically related to animation. It could be level design, it could be lighting, it could be sound, anything like that. Just let me know in the script description down below. Not the description, the comments. So a question I've got here is, did you buy the animations or do you have an animator? Now for Embervein, we do have an animator on the team. So these animations are something that have been made completely bespoke for Embervein. And when it comes to animations, typically you don't really want to buy animations if it's something that you want to be really unique. If you want it to feel in a certain way, if you want it to be fast, if you want it to be fluid, or if you want it to be slow and more tactical, the only way you're going to really be able to control this is if we go in there and we actually make these ourselves. And game feel is a really big thing, and animations have a massive impact on that. So unfortunately, it's just one of those things. If you've got a game that's very generic, like a shooter game, for example, whether it be first person or third person, then by all means, you can go in and you can actually buy the animations. But if it's something like this, then by all means, you can go in and just make them yourselves. So I've got my animations here. What I'm going to do now is just quickly chuck these into a folder for myself. And then I'm going to be bringing these into the engine. So I've got my folder here. Now what I'm going to do in UnrealEngine is make myself a brand new folder for my animations. So I'm going to go to animations. The very first thing that we need to do is actually get the static mesh in for this. Our static mesh is essentially the body of your character. So you've got your static mesh, which is the body. And then you've got your animations, which basically tell the body how to move. So if you don't have a dedicated static mesh, what we can actually do is take any one of these animations here and we can just import the mesh from this. So what I'm going to do is take my idle. I'm just going to copy and paste this for now. And I'm going to rename this to Grimfrey _ mesh. Grimfrey being the name of this character. With that done, I'm going to drag and drop and import Grim into the game. And what we're going to do is make sure that our import mesh is selected. And we're going to uncheck our import animations. And then we're going to go ahead and press import. And this is going to bring our character into the engine. So give this a couple of seconds. There we go. Another question that I've just got is, how big is the Embervein team? As of right now, there is currently 8 of us working on the team, and that is everything from myself. I am the producer and the level designer on the team. We've also got a game designer / graphic designer. We've got concept artists, animators, particle designers. We've got pretty much a full team at this point. We've just got a couple of roles that are left to fill. If you want to find a little bit more about Embervein, which is the game that I'm currently working on, all you got to do is just go ahead and go over to embervein.com, or alternatively, you can join the Embervein Discord. The link for that, I'm sure one of my moderators will be more than happy to post into the chat, but if not, it is also on the Embervein website as well. So going back into Unreal Engine, if I go ahead and open this, you can now see I've got my character. But what we need to do now is import all of those animations so that we can start bringing this in. So what I'm going to do is select all of these apart from our mesh. And then I'm just going to drag and drop into the same folder. And I'm not going to import the mesh this time. So make sure you uncheck this because this is animation data. We are then just going to make sure that Grimfrey is our skeleton. Or if you're using the default Unreal mannequin, then by all means, you can use that as well. But for now, we're going to press import all. We're going to give this a couple of seconds and it's going to import all of this animation data for us. So we're going to give that a second and we're going to answer another question that we've got here in the chat. So let's have a little look, see. So I've got a bunch of people here that are asking how they can make a game that is sort of based on something on their imagination. So having said that, I'm going to give you one little piece of advice, which is super important when you're creating your first game. That being, try and create something small. If you aim too big, unfortunately, you're just not going to be able to finish it. So having said that, aim small, aim realistic, but focus on the gameplay. You want something that is going to be as replayable as possible. That way, you know you're going to be able to finish it, people are going to be able to enjoy it, and most importantly, they're going to stick around. So if you're trying to create yourself a single player campaign with over 80 hours of gameplay, for example, it's just not going to happen, especially not as a small team and not as a single developer either. So having said that, aim small. Ember Vein, the reason why we've gone for PvE is because we want to have some enemies, but we want them to come in waves and they can be reused and we can really customize the gameplay itself to affect how every single experience is going to be different. Also, we can change the characters. And in terms of customization is a lot easier to do than hours and hours of gameplay, unique gameplay that is for a single player game. So, just got a comment here that says I have frozen. If that is the case, just let me know. But I have got a preview going on in my studio, or not my studio, my living room at the moment because it's locked down. It does look all good. So if you guys have got any issues, just let me know in the comments. I am watching this. Also, thank you for everyone that's saying, it's really easy to follow along with my content. So, moving back into Unreal Engine, what you can see here is I have got all of my animations for this character now. So you can see I've got everything from jogging, sprinting, running, and I've also got some directional stuff as well. And that is something that is super important, making sure that you have got your directional stuff. If you don't have your directional animations, you are not going to be able to blend it, and it's just not going to feel very nice when you turn. And that's one of the main things that I want you guys to take away from this tutorial, is the different types of animations that you have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very quickly go through this list and give you a breakdown of the animations that we've got. So first and foremost, we have got a few pieces of data that are going to go into a Locomotion setup like this. So first and foremost, we have got our speed, which is, well, quite frankly, the speed. It controls how fast you're going. And depending on the speed, you are either going to be jogging, running, or even sprinting. So when it comes to your animations, you need to make sure that you have those three speeds. And not only that, what we're also going to have is our directions. And the way that I like to break it down, especially in a system like this, where we have got strafing, I like to have my forwards, 45 degrees, 90 degrees, and then also going backwards as well. So, as you can see here in my list of animations that I've got, you can see that I have got my right 90 degrees run, which in this case is essentially a strafe. And I've also done the same thing for the left as well. So you can really see that this is changing. And rather than just rotating the character, you can see we have done some things in here where it's a little bit different. So we're not just rotating it, we're also turning the head. We're trying to keep it all in the direction. We're trying to have some really nice flow with our characters. And this is some of the stuff that you don't get to see in the Ember Vein devlogs, where we're just showing off the functionality. We're showing, what I'm doing here is showing you all of the stuff that goes into it, so you can take away from that and you can use this to go into your own games. So we've seen the animations, we know how they're broken down, and we know the different types of animations it is that we're going to need. Let's go ahead and start creating this into something that you are going to be able to use. Also, again, a massive shout out to everyone that is watching this live stream. We've currently got 120 people watching, so if I can get you guys to drop a like on this, I would really appreciate it, as it helps everyone else find this live stream. I can currently see that we have got 122 people watching live, and we've only got 62 likes, so let's see if we can get that ratio up nice and high and make sure everyone else can see this live stream. But for now, let's go ahead and dive into Unreal and create the blend space. The blend space, for you guys that don't know what one of these is essentially a piece of animation data inside of Unreal Engine that is going to tell the engine, based on information, to play different animations and blend between them. So like I said, when you're running forwards, but you're also going in a direction, the blend space is going to take this and it is essentially going to go in and play a mixture of whichever animations that you are. So to create an animation blend space, go into your content browser, right click, go to animation, and then you have got two types of blend spaces. You have got your blend space and your blend space 1D. So our 3D is essentially going to allow us to have two different axes. So we've got one for speed, one for direction, whereas our 1D is just going to be the one, so I could only go up in speed. I then can't change it for my direction. So having said that, if direction is something that you want to have as part of this, make sure that you're using a blend space, a full blend space. Choose your skeleton. We're going to give this a name, Grimfrey, which is our character name, and then underscore, and then in here we are going to do movement underscore BS. The BS meaning blend space, it absolutely does not mean anything else. And then once you open this up, you should have something that is going to look a little bit like this. So down at the bottom here, this is the most important bit. So you on here can plot your different animations, and that being for our speed and direction. But we need to set up our axes first so you can really see exactly what's going on. So go to horizontal axes. We are going to be giving this the name direction. We're going to set our minimum axis value to -180 and our maximum to 180. So what we're doing is essentially setting the minimum and maximum parameters for our direction, and then between those axes we can then plot our different animations. We're then going to go down to our vertical axes and we're going to give this the name speed. We're going to set our maximum axis value to 0, which is going to be our minimum here. And we're going to set our maximum to, let's go ahead and work with a nice little 600, just like that. So that should give you a good understanding of how we're setting up our blend space and the pieces of data that we can feed into this. What we've still got to do later on in this live stream is actually show you how you can take variable data from our character and feed it into this blend space. But what we're doing right now is just plotting the animations on there, and I'm going to show you exactly where you want to be plotting these on here. Now, before we do plot anything on here, if we want to have really smooth animations, we need to make sure we can really utilize a lot of animations on here. So what I'm going to do is set my number of grid divisions to 8 for our direction, and I'm going to do the same thing for our speed as well. So we can really start to go on there and we can gradually ease the character from going from one animation to another. Okay, so moving on, let's get started. So the first thing that you want to do is go in here and you want to put in your idle animation. Now your idle animation is the one that you're going to be having when we are not moving. So there's no speed, there's no direction, you just want them to play the idle animation. So having said this, we can plot this to 0 on our speed, which you can see on our vertical on the left hand side here. And you can also see our direction over here. But because regardless of the direction, we want to make sure the idle animation is always playing at 0 speed. So go ahead and drop these onto every point along our 0 on here, just like that. And right now, what you're going to see is that by default, our character is going to be using that idle animation. So with that done, what we now need to do is look into our forward movement. So what we're going to do in this case, our next type of movement is going to be our jog. So once it gets to speed 150 or 150 there, we are going to have it jogging. What we're then going to do after that is once we get up to speed 300, he's going to start running. And running again at 450. And then when we get all the way up to 600, as you can see here, he's going to start sprinting. So what I've essentially just done is started to blend my animations based on our speed. So if I hold down Shift to preview this, if I then bring my mouse down to 0, you're going to see that he's going to do our idle animation. If I then move my mouse up, you can see as the speed increases, it is going to make him run faster all the way up into a sprint, just like that, which is perfect. So we know that works. What we now need to do is take this and we need to just flesh it out. So we need to fill in the little gaps between these points. So having said that, what we're going to do is our run animation. We're going to put this in and just fill in the gaps. So what we've got here is at 300, it's run, 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 all the way up until it gets to 600 when it's going to activate our sprint. What we're going to do is just have our jog just before all of this happens, just like that. So now it should be a much smoother transition, just like that, which is perfect. So we can see this works. So the next thing that we're going to do is pretty much exactly the same thing, but we're going to do this for when we are tilting left or right, just like that. So what we're going to do is take our right 45 degrees and we're going to put this on our right, just like that. So now if we hold down Shift and we take them to the right hand side, as you can see, the feet are moving over to the right and we've essentially got what we need. And we also need to match this with our forward as well. So until they get to 300, they're going to be jogging. So right 45, jog all the way up until they get to speed 300. So you can see we're starting to plot loads of points out on this to really define our movement. With that done, what we're then going to do is take our right 45 degrees run, and we're going to keep running until we get all the way up to our 600, which is our sprint. So at that point, what we're going to be doing is taking our 45 degrees and then sprint animation and bringing it up there. So if I hold down Shift, I can preview this. And if I move my mouse along, you can see he is moving with the direction. And most importantly, this is super, super smooth. Also, massive shout out to some of you guys that are in the chat, encouraging everyone else to drop the like button on this live stream as well. I really, really appreciate that. So thank you, everyone. And again, don't forget, guys, if you do have any game dev questions, leave them in the comments down below and I'm going to be getting those out to you. Also, massive shout out. We've currently got 140 people watching this live. That is just absolutely phenomenal. I would love to be able to beat our record on the last live stream where we had 170 people watching it live. So to help make this happen, drop a like, drop a share, and get it out there to all of your friends. Also, I can see some people are saying this is super easy. It can be very intimidating to jump straight into blend spaces, and that's why I wanted to take some time to get into this live stream so I can really break down this process. I can simplify it, I can explain exactly how the axis works, how just having lots of points work, how you should plot them out. I hope you guys are really taking away a lot from this. So with that done, what we're going to do now is just do the left side, so left 45 degrees. So we're going to take our left 45 over here, and then we're going to keep jogging until we get all the way up to 300. And then at that point, we're going to start running, and we're going to keep plotting these on, just like this, until we get all the way up here. And when they get to 600 speed, that is when they're going to start sprinting. So what you should have should look just like this. So if we hold down our Shift, if we go all the way up to the top here at 600, you can see him sprinting forwards. we move this over, you can see him sprinting the other way, and then if you move it over, you can see him sprinting the other way as well, which is really, really awesome. If your sprint is a little bit funny, just make sure that all of your points are the exact ones that they should be. So you can see here, I accidentally selected the normal sprint. Mistakes do happen, so all you got to do is just make sure you choose the right one in there. So now, as you can see, when I move from one side to the other, he is going to be moving direction, which is exactly what we want to do. And because this is a blend space, it's going to be blending between these different animations for us, which is really, really awesome. Also, just had someone say the guy that made this character must be really awesome. That is a very shameless plug, but you definitely deserve it. If you want to see how this character was made or learn how this character is made, make sure you do go ahead and check out Manuel's channel. It is MR3D Dev. He's just made a shameless little plug. Go check him out. He's got some really interesting content on modeling. But for now, let's move on to our strafing. Our strafing is going to be at our 90-degree point. So if I move my mouse over here, you can go in and you can see exactly what should be on here. So I can see this is currently 90 degrees, and as such, I should use my animations for 90 degrees. So let's go ahead and take our stuff for right, and we're going to take our right 90 degrees, we're going to take our jog, and we're going to put this in here, and we're going to keep putting that in until we get to 300, which is when we want to start running in this strafe. Keep doing that until you get all the way up to your sprint for 90, which should look a bit like this. So you can see our character, as you move this, he is going to be going further and further in the direction, so he's pretty much moving all the way sideways now, which is pretty awesome. But again, the speed can go up and down just like that. So we're really starting to see this blend space come to life. So with our stuff for 90 degrees, we are now just going to go ahead and do the exact same thing. So a question here, why is there so many points? That's a really, really good question. When it comes to having points, you want to have as many animations on here as you possibly can to make this smooth. I do understand that Unreal Engine is going to go in and smooth this for you a little bit, but if you have more animations instead of going from 0 to 90, having our 45-degree in there just gives us a little bit more control. Instead of relying on Unreal Engine to guess where the points should be, if you make the animations, you can go in here and you can say this is exactly where it wants to be. For example, when we are sprinting and strafing, for example, just because I run, our head is going to be looking forwards. That doesn't mean to say when we're strafing, we do not want to have it facing the way the body is. We still want them to look forwards, and this is only something that you can do if you set up your directional animations in here. If you use lots of different animations, it's just going to give you complete control over exactly what you're doing. So let's go ahead and do this stuff for our left 90 degrees as well. So we're going to take our left 90 degrees jog, and we're going to go in and keep doing this until we get up to 300, which is when we're going to start running. We're going to then just keep going in, running, and then up to 600, and that is where we're going to start sprinting. So now, if we hold down Shift and preview this, you can see we have got a really nice blend space starting to come together there. Also, I've just seen that with my preview on the video, because the window is so small, we've managed to get so many likes that the number doesn't even fit on there anymore. So let's just keep on going with that one. So thanks again for all the likes. All the more likes, the better. It really helps people see this video. Also, again, we've currently got 150 people watching on here. I'm trying to keep track of all the comments, but there is honestly just so many. So I'm trying to go through as many of these questions as I possibly can. But if I don't manage to get to your question today, just because we've got very limited time and we've got to show what we're doing here inside of Unreal Engine, any questions that have not been answered, go ahead and leave them in the Discord, the link for which is in the description. But for now, let's go ahead and get the next element in here. So the next element that we need to be putting into here is our stuff for when they are going backwards. So when they're going backwards, this is essentially when we're doing 180. So if you imagine an arc, or a protractor rather, once you get to 180, that is going to be our backwards. So what we're going to do is at 180 over here, we are going to be going in and putting in our backwards jog. And once they get up to our point where it's 300, which is a half speed, we are going to be doing our backwards run instead, just like that. And because they're going backwards, realistically, they're just not going to be able to sprint. So we're just going to continue going in and just putting this data in there, and we don't need to use the sprint. So if I hold down shift, you can see if I go up the 180-degree point on our axis here, you are going to see he's going to start to go backwards, which is perfect. What I'm going to do then is do exactly the same thing on the other side here. So what we're going to do on the other side is exactly the same thing. So we're going to go and use the same animation, which is back jog. And you can see it there, back jog anim. And then we are going to put this in. And we're going to go in and just keep doing that until we get to 300, and then that's when we are going to use our other animation that we've got there, which you can see is back jog animation, or rather backwards jog animations, which is just a little bit faster. So we're just going to keep bringing these points along here, just like that, and then we're good to go. I've also missed out my idle at our 0 speed for -180, so I'm also going to put that in there. You can probably see that point is missing, and we're going to put that in there just like that. So with that done, as you can see, no matter if it's -180 or 180, you're going to see he's going to go backwards. And as we go in here and we run in one of these directions, you are going to see that our character is going to be running directionally. So at this point, we are pretty much going to be using this to create our character. So we've got our blend space, we've got lots of blending that we've set up here manually. We're now going to be showing you how you can actually plug this blend space into the game so that you can use it, which is probably an argument, arguably the most important part. So let's go ahead and do that. So what you can also do is use your interpolation time to blend the amount of time it's going to take from one animation to another, which we're going to be playing with once we've actually got our character into the game. So don't worry, I haven't forgotten about that, but it's just one of those things that you really want to be looking at controlling once we've actually got it and we can test it. So go ahead and close this. And then what I'm going to do is just find my player character blueprint. Now, because this is an empty project, it would be our third person character. If it's your own game, you'll know exactly what it is. If it's Embervein, I'll be opening up our player blueprint for Grim. But in this case, I'm going to be opening this up. I'm going to go ahead and open up this in the blueprint editor. You can also find all of these in the content browser as well. So don't forget you can do that. We're going to go to our viewport. We are going to select our character. We are going to then set our skeletal mesh to Grim Frey, which is the character that we have just set up all of these animations for. And what you're going to notice is underneath this, the next thing that you're going to need is an animation class. And an animation class is essentially a type of blueprint which is going to tell the engine when it should play each of the animations. And it can take things like blend spaces, it can take animation montages, it can take just normal animations. So you can tie your code to your animations, which is really, really important. So what we've got right now is just telling it to play different animations dependent on the speed and the direction, but right now there's currently no variables or no data that is going into that. So we're going to set this up. So close this up, go to our animation folder, we're going to right click, we're going to go to animation, and what we're going to do is create a animation blueprint. If you can't find it here for whatever reason, a good way that I like to do it is just right click on the mesh itself, the skeletal mesh here, right click, and then what we're going to do is we are going to be creating a animation blueprint from this. So go to create and then anim blueprint. Okay, and then we're going to be opening this up. Also, massive shout out to Sir Dine, who's just sent in a super chat to this live stream. I really do appreciate your support on that. That is really awesome. So what it says in this super chat is most UE4 tutorials only place one instance of the animation in the blend space instead of filling the space. Is there a reason that this way is better? Yes, there is a reason why I do it this way, and it's something that I like to do to just give me a little bit more control over the animations. So by having more points, it allows you to say exactly at what speed that it is that you want that animation to play. So let's say you've got your speed, which is 600. If you only have 2 points, you've only got 2 controls at that point. So you've got 300, and you've also got your 600. If you want to have more increments in between, like we do, especially with our directional stuff, that is where I like to have lots of different points. So we've got our jog, we've got our run, we've got our sprint, and we can only achieve this if we have more of those points. Also, another reason for having more points is it allows us to control the weighting. If we fill every single point, it is then not going to have too much weighting or some of the other animations around it. So we don't want one pulling to the other. So if I go ahead and open up my animation blend space, which I've created already, if I open up this show triangulation, this is going to give you a bit of an idea as to how different animations are going to have impacts on the other. So the gaps that aren't filled, it's going to be pulling the data from animations that are just so far away. And sometimes that's not always the animation that we want it to pull from. So that's why I like to put it in there. A lot of YouTube tutorials, they don't fill in the gaps because for the sake of a tutorial or a tutorial piece, it's not going to be that noticeable in that tutorial. It's not for a finished game, but for a game, or something where you want really good results, you need to be filling in those points there. It's super important. So hopefully that does answer your question with that one. So going back into our animation blueprint that we have just created, we're going to see exactly how we can set this up. So what you're going to see is in our anim graph, we're going to go to our result, and we're going to create something called a state machine. And this state machine is essentially going to allow you to combine your blueprints to your animations. And you can basically create states and then play the different states depending on the variable data that we have got for our game. So we're going to go to entry and we're going to add a state. And we're going to have a state with the name movement. And you can have other states such as your combat or your jumping or anything that isn't necessarily going to be in this blend space that we've got, because our blend space is only going to be handling movement and direction and speed. We can't chuck things like jumping in there, and that's where these different states are going to come in. So I can go into my movement state, and if I go over to my asset browser on the right hand side, what I can do is take my movement blend space, drag this in, and if I go to my animation pose and put this into our result here, it is going to then, whenever it is in this movement state, play the blend space. If we were to add a combat state, for example, like an attacking state, it's going to play the combat stuff, whatever we put in there. So going back into this, what you're going to see is it's asking for some information now. So you can currently see it's asking for our direction and our speed. We need to take this from our character blueprint. So it actually knows, or the blend space knows, exactly what speed the character is currently doing and what is the direction that the character is currently headed in. So what we're going to do is go over to our event graph, and on event blueprint update animation, we are going to cast to our character blueprint, which in my case is third person character. With then, as our object, we're going to be setting this to get player character because we need to be able to reference this. And then from here, this is where we're going to be calculating our direction. We're going to be calculating our speed, which I'm going to be showing you in just a minute. Also, for those of you that are wondering or have missed a little bit because you're following along with this live stream, you guys can watch this later on. It is going to be recorded. You can just watch it anytime that you like. It is going to be something that is completely replayable. So don't worry if you've missed something, just tune back in at the end of this live stream in about 20 minutes and you can watch it. And you can also just go back even on the live stream as well, but you don't have to worry if you missed something for now. But I know this process can be done a lot quicker as well for those of you that have said that. But what I want to do is say that I just want to take the time and really explain how everything works. You can have an understanding of exactly what I'm doing, because copying stuff, it's not that great. You don't want to just copy stuff. You want to learn. You want to know the theory behind it. So as third person character, we are going to be getting the direction for this. So what we're going to do is get our actor rotation, and then we are also going to get the velocity of this. And these are the two pieces of information that we are going to use to go in and calculate our direction and then calculate our speed as well. So from get actor rotation, we are going to drag out from our return value and we're going to calculate the direction. We're also going to need to feed in our velocity into this. And then what we're going to need to do from our return value, we're going to need to promote this to a variable. And we're just going to give this the name. In the bottom left here, we're going to be giving this the name direction. Now, when it comes to this, you're going to notice that the return value is a float. A float is essentially a piece of numerical data. Floats specifically, they are going to have numerical points. So it can be 1.0 or 1.1, for example. It just gives you a little bit more control than an integer does. But more importantly, exactly what I'm doing when it comes to variables, by doing this and exposing our velocity and our direction and stuff and turning it into a variable, this gives us something that we can save to the memory of our game. And then with that, we can then reference this because we've saved it. So we can then put it into our blend space that we created earlier. So we can see exactly, or tell the blend space exactly at what point should you be using that speed, or exactly at what point should you be using that direction. So from our cast, make sure you are setting your direction just like that. And then from our get velocity, we're just going to get, this is where we're going to be turning this into our speed, which is vector length. And then we're going to be promoting this to a variable with the name speed, just like that. And then we're going to go ahead and hit compile. And we're good to go there. So this is pretty much the code for our basic movement setup. If we then go back to our movement state, we can take our variables in from the bottom left here, and we can take our direction and feed it in. We can do the same thing for our speed, and we can also feed it in just like that. So what we now have is our direction and our speed going into this, which is perfect. And then our blend space is going to move along these points based on this information that we've got. For some of you that have just sort of mentioned getting sick and stuff, I'm absolutely fine. Just got a bit of a tickly throat from live streaming and talking for the last hour. I promise there is absolutely no corona there at all. So with that done, we're going to leave our animation blueprint alone. And then we're going to open up our character blueprint again. And what we're going to do is go to our mesh. And we're going to set our anim class to the one that we just created, which is here, Grimfrey. And now, if I go ahead and hit compile and press play, you are going to notice we have got our character moving around here. And notice that our speed is a little bit funny here. And that is because this is something that you need to adjust in your character. But more importantly, we can go in and we can move around and do all of that stuff. So what you're also going to notice with this third person example I've got, it's not playing my strafing, it's not doing my directional stuff because it is turning the character. This isn't something that we want. So what we need to do, if you have got code in place that is going to just rotate the character without playing the right animations, open this up, open up the blueprint editor, go to your event graph, and then what you're going to notice is our movement input. You are going to see we've got all of this stuff that is going to be moving it. We don't really want to be doing this. So what I can actually do is take all of my code in this, just select it, and then we can just delete this. And what this is going to do is this is going to stop that from happening. So that way you're not going to have any issues. So I've got the feeling that my Unreal Engine has just crashed here. So I'm just going to not touch it for a second. There we go. Press compile. And then if we jump in, we should be able to play around with this. If you're not able to move for whatever reason, you may need to keep some of your code. So again, I'm going to select this. I'm going to open this up. I'm going to press Ctrl Z to bring back my code. And then I'm just going to delete the bits we don't need. So we don't need this touch input code. We're going to be keeping this jump code here. There's currently no animations being tied to it. So that is entirely up to you as to whether or not you want to keep it. But if you want to add your own stuff, you can. We have got our turn. And this is something that we can play around with. We've also got our movement input over here for our control stuff. And then we've also got our turn rate over here as well. And some VR stuff. So let's delete the VR stuff. Give it a second. My Unreal Engine's just lagging out. Press compile. Take on some water. And then what we're going to be doing is going in here. And we're just going to test by deleting this to see exactly which code it is that we need to remove. So delete that. Give this a second. It's just Unreal Engine's just bugging out. So while it's doing this, I'm going to answer some more questions. So again, if you guys have got any game development questions, just let me know in the chat and I'm going to be getting straight in here and answering these. So let me know if you guys have got any questions. So this, we're going to need this, otherwise you simply cannot move the character. And we are going to delete this for now. And then we're just going to hit compile in a second. Yep, so what you're noticing there, I know it is freezing. That's simply because my computer's just sort of dying. It's running out of processing power, so the stream's not going to go down. Don't worry about that. It's it just does that sometimes. So here, again, it's still doing it. If this is the look that you want, then by all means you can go for it. There is also some settings in the third person character that we can edit as well. such as some things for our control rotation. So let's go ahead and use this. So let's go and try this instead. Not quite it. And this is something that I've not done in a little while, but the animation side of things, that's all set up. This is more just configuration of the character that we're doing here. So let's take a little look. So if any of you guys know how to stop it from following the camera, or not following the camera, but following the direction that your key is going, be sure, feel free to just let me know in the chat. I'm just trying to figure this one out for you guys. The animation side of things is all good. There's just currently some code or a setting in here, which is moving the character with the inputs in terms of just sort of rotating it. This isn't necessarily something that we want with this. So I'm just trying to figure out where this is so we can show you how to remove this, because we want to be able to use our strafe, our direction, and all of that good stuff. So I'm going to do a very quick bit of creative Googling, which is always good. Got it. So let's go over to our character. We are going to be making sure that our controller rotation is making sure that this is turned on. And then we have got a bunch of other stuff here. So in the character boom, use pawn control rotation, inherit pitch and yaw, orient character to movement. And we can test all of these. So let's go ahead and do that. So hit compile. It's not doing it yet. So the other setting we got to do. So let's go in. Yaw. Let's turn this on. And as you can see there, as soon as I did that setting, you can see it's now working. So you can see, and I know it was a couple of minutes there for me to figure it out, but we can see now our animations are playing for when we're going in and we're doing our directional stuff. When we're strafing, the head is still forwards, which is really awesome. And no matter which way we go in here, it is super, super smooth, which is really, really important here, which is really nice. We can also go backwards, which is really awesome. And as you can see there, he is jogging backwards. We've also still got to put in some animations for going backwards. So if I have got these, I can go ahead and put those in there for 45 degrees backwards and all of that good stuff. So what I'm going to do is just finalize this for our full movement setup that we've got here. You can see I've got these points that I've not filled in yet, which is for our directional backward stuff. And then I'm just going to go ahead and find these. So I'm going to go for my Grim Foray left backwards jog. And I'm going to put this in here. And because we do not need to worry about our running, because you're never going to be able to run backwards, you can only jog backwards, I can put this straight in here. So just drag and drop this into our blend space, just like that. We're going to press play. And then you can test that and you can see that it has gone in there. So when we're walking backwards this way, you can see it's gone in there. And one thing I do want to notice, or note rather, is that while you just saw that I went in there and one thing I want to note is, one thing you wanted to see there is that I went in and I set my left over to the side that I've been doing my right. Because it's backwards, it is inverted. So make sure you do take note of that and you do flip it around, otherwise you'll end up with your stuff on the wrong side. So go ahead and do the same thing for our right, our backwards jog, and then we can just get it to go in and drop that in there just like that. So go ahead and test this now, press play, and you can see no matter which way you go, you are going to see it is going to play all of this. So all of these animations are now playing there, which is perfect for us. So he's running around, he is walking forwards, backwards, left, right, and all of that good stuff. There is one other setting that I want to show you before I do finish off with this character's movement setup, and that is our interpolation time. Our interpolation time is something that I talked a little bit about a little bit earlier on in this live stream. It's essentially the time between it going from one animation to another. So let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. So we're going to open this up. We have got our interpolation time for our speed and our direction. If I set this to a number like 1, it is going to take 1 second to go from one animation to another. So if I start running and then stop, it's going to run a little bit before it stops there. So it's just going to smooth it out a little bit. Now 1 is a little bit too much, so I'm going to set this to half a second. Just going down until we get something that works well for us. So half a second is still just a little bit too much there. So again, I'm just going to keep adjusting that value until I get where I want to be. Now this is why I didn't do this earlier, because we need to be able to test this. We need to be able to see this to adjust this value. There's never a one value fixes and works for everything. So having said that, we're going to go in and we're just going to keep turning that down. And we can turn that down because we can see exactly how it's going to work. I'm going to set this to a nice little value of 0.1. Press play. And now I'm going to start running. I'm going to give it, and it's going to take a second before it goes back there. So it's a little bit smoother, but you guys now know how you can adjust this value to get the look that you are after. But for now, for me, this is our movement for this character all set up. There is a lot more that you can do for this, such as jumping, attacking, blocking, dying, all sorts of other animations. If this is something that you guys are interested in, just let me know down in the comments, and I'll look at doing some more live streams as we create the animations and the assets for EmberVein. EmberVein is something that is also teaching me a lot about Unreal Engine. I'm learning new things as I do go along, and I really, really want to pass this off to you guys. But for now, that is pretty much me done inside of Unreal Engine for this live stream. What I'd like to do now is just take a little bit to go in and answer any game development questions that you guys have got. So any game development questions, just let me know down in the description down below, and I'll get straight into those. I'd also like to say that anyone anyone that is in this live stream, I'd really appreciate it if you can drop a quick little like on this video, just so that we can get this live stream discovered really well after this live stream is finished. Currently, we have got 140 likes on this video. We've got 148 people watching this live stream, so it's really, really fine, but I know there is a couple of you out there that haven't liked it just yet. So, couple of questions here that I've got. Is there a release date yet for EmberVein? We don't have anything set in stone just yet, so that's not really something that I can give away at this point, just because we're very much in the pre-alpha. So, next question that I've got, they're having trouble with jump animations, and if the character is in air, it's going to keep repeating the jump animation over and over and over again. So the reason for that is you have just got one jump animation. You need to break this into 3 parts: jump start, jump loop, and jump end. And if the animation is longer or they're higher from the ground, you want to keep looping the middle bit before going to the end. So that way they lift their legs up, they keep looping, so their legs move up and down just a little bit, and then when it goes to the end, that's when they finally touch down. So there is loads of tutorials out on there, but that is essentially the process that you guys are going to need to be able to do that. The question was about UE5 in terms of release date. while I don't have too many details on Unreal Engine 5 yet, it is going to be released next year from what they have been saying, but they haven't got a specific date yet. Everything's going to be up in the air, just like anything really. Coronavirus is a thing, so people aren't able to work in the office, all of that kind of stuff. So just hang tight for an Unreal Engine 5 release date. But what I can say is there is a number of game studios that are already using Unreal Engine 5 by the looks of things to make their game. So the engine is more than likely in a really good place at this point. I've got a question here from my housemate who is being very, very cheeky, who is saying, Luke, I have a question. Can you make me a cup of tea, please? Still live streaming, dude. But if you come down in about 10 minutes, I'll be all yours. Okay, I'm getting some very silly questions in here, so I'm just gonna stop answering some of those. So guys, if you do have any more game development questions, just let me know in the Discord. It's discord.gg/Virtus, the link for which is in the description. There's almost 5,000 other developers in there who are just there to answer questions and help each other out, join teams, make games together, but most importantly, have fun with aspiring developers or people that are very much alike. But for now, guys, I'm going to call it the end of the live stream. I hope you have enjoyed it. Like I said before, this live stream is automatically recorded, so as soon as I press stop, you are going to be able to watch. You are going to be able to watch this back, whether it be tomorrow, next week. But for now, guys, thank you for watching the live stream. I hope you have enjoyed it. There is going to be another live stream just like this next week on more awesome Embervane stuff. So make sure that you do follow us on social media to find out the exact date and time of that. This time has been working really great for you guys. You know, we've had over 100 people on this live stream, which is super, super awesome. But for now, guys, as always, stay awesome, keep creating. Virtus, signing out.